Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on October 21st, 2023 at approximately 4:22 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life that I talk about are the philosophies I guide my own life by. Now, with this in mind, I have actually shared these same tools with literally thousands of people over the years. Okay, with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. And this is why I know these will work as far as you go, if you pick up the tools. Now, before I go any further, let's go with Kevin Whippuff is in the house with the gold. Joe Stewart has come in with the silver, and Derek Galloway has arrived with the bronze. And Nathan, who we did miss the other day, has shown up here with honorable mention. With this in mind, this is the link to Nathan's show. That's working well. To his and to the Quantum Show. Okay, and there we have the link. So absolutely drop by, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and then share the daylights out of the thing. Derek, I just got out of hospital. Oh, well, I'm glad she got out of the hospital. My sincere sympathies for you. That's a real rough run. Our prayers are absolutely with you and with your daughter and with the rest of you, by the way. So where are you running off to today there, Nathan? Having a daughter, having a child in the hospital is a very trying point in time. I nearly lost my son in another, you know, I nearly lost my eldest son with a severe case of jaundice when he was first born. So that brings back a lot of your situation brings back a lot of memories, and not exactly enjoyable ones. Oh, that makes sense there, Nathan. Just make sure you drive safe on your own route. But no, I'm looking at this and now, and what do I got here? Thought we had jumped. I got two main things in my way, which is just plain normal. Pop that down there out of the way. But with that in mind, okay, with the situation we're dealing with, oh, that is not fun. I will tell you, my son, my eldest son, like I said, he had a severe case of jaundice when he was born. He hasn't been sick, I don't think, in the last. Well, he gets sick now and again, but not nearly what you might think. You know, I know when I was born, I was told I was born jaundiced. Except later on, I got told I was actually modeled green and black when I was born, which I don't know. I've yet to see jaundice do that to you. But, I decided as per requested. Nice, Joe. Yeah, dream journals are extremely necessary and they fall into an interesting category because you've got dream journals and then you've got journals. Sometimes they get combined. Okay. I know in my case, I do keep a haphazard journal. But if I do have a dream, it goes into the same journal. The important part with the journals is when you write them, be sure you write the date, obviously, of the event. If you can, write down the time when you're making the entry. Okay. And then be as specific as you can. But even if all you remember is about a dream is you remember that you were running, for instance. Okay. Simply write down, I remember that I was running. Okay. The reason for that is simply writing that little piece down may trigger more of a memory. Okay. But the dream journal, what that will help, there is a big factor around dream journals, especially if you have repeated dreams. Okay, because you write down the date you had the dream, the time you woke up, and be in as much detail as you can about what the dream was. Now, dreams again, we get back to this issue. We get back to this issue of multiples of three, and we'll get to that in 10 seconds. First of all, Forrest Louie, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. I wonder, I'm just curious at this point. Did this have whoop, that's one. I wonder if that's the other. Yeah, both of those are journals of mine. Now, this one dates from way back in 1988. Well, I didn't necessarily get one that said it was a journal. Okay. And then, of course, this one, when was it from? This one, this, of course, came from 2014 is when I started it. But I do a lot of my writing, a lot of my journaling gets done on loose leaf paper now. And then I just get it to disk and print it off. Oh, I love the smell of pine salt personally. What do we got here? Tony D, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The important factor with the journal. Now, the first one gives you a simple marker. The second, similar dream. When you write down the date, okay, the first one gives you a starting point. The second dream of a similar ilk gives you a marker. The third one gives you an event occurrence. This is regarding precognitive dreams. Okay, in other words, what precognition boils down to before knowing. And if you're having dreams that are similar, usually three will take place. It will be over time. I can't give you an idea as to how long between them. But for instance, if you have a dream and then, a week later you have a similar one, and then 6 days later you have a third one, now you've got a time frame because you're going out 7 days and 6 days and 5 days. You do the math. Okay. But this is where precognitive dreams can be actually tracked. Okay. And again, one of the big things we got to remember with journals and with dream journals, people sometimes make the mistake of going, a dream journal means I had the dream and so I wrote it down. That is only one aspect of your dream journal. The other aspect is you come up with an idea that you would like to pursue or that you would like to look into. Write it in your dream journal. Writing it down and putting it on paper, whether it's putting it on paper, gee, why don't I do this? Whether we are talking about putting it on paper or putting it on disk doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, that one came from, and I've got others around here. But yeah, this one, as you can see, and now we've called a yearbook. But as you can, sorry, as you can see, 1988. Okay, but, and no, I don't expect you to read it, because heck, I can barely read it. But I have a tendency of filling it in. Okay, but that was done, and the issue with the journal, I don't know about your guys' memory, but my memory is really shabby on occasion. Okay, Iowax, how we doing? Glad you could join us. Iowax goes, I made a book with 0 words, but it's amazing. I'll ensure it. I'll share it when I'm done. It's a journal. Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, Derek, when I was a kid, when I was still in school, people would constantly read over my shoulder. So my handwriting, I didn't like people reading over my shoulder. So I modified my handwriting. I could have been a doctor from that standpoint. No, absolutely not. Tony, welcome aboard, by the way. Tony's asking if you, and I will get back to that football. By the way, welcome aboard. Tony's asking if you dreamt that you were getting abducted, does that mean you were abducted? Absolutely not. Usually, if you're dreaming about it's more common if you're dreaming about an abduction that part of your life, and probably an important part of your life, is not currently in as much of your control as you would like. Okay, an abduction in and of itself does not mean alien as in off-worlder. All it really means is somebody or something is pulling you out of control, out of a controlled setup, and you're no longer totally dominant on it. Okay, this said, sometimes a dream about an abduction is a dream about an abduction. And I'm not about to sit here and tell people, oh, you dreamed about an abduction, so it wasn't one. I have seen way too many people that dreamed about something, and I'm looking at them going, hate to tell you this, but it's not quite as metaphoric as you might think. Okay. Um, Football. It's funny you should ask that. I was talking to somebody the other day about that. Football goes, have you ever served on a jury? If yes, did you disclose that you were a psychic? Um, I was actually summoned for jury duty. I was at work at the time, and when I come home, my wife at the time was absolutely in stitches. I says, "What is the problem? Or like, what are you so giggly about?" And she handed me this jury summons. She goes, there is not a lawyer on the planet that will let you sit on a jury. Right? She says there is not a prayer. At the time, I was working full time as an active psychic. Okay, and I just looked at it. I said it's not going to court anyway, right? 2 days later, we got the phone call that said, "Don't bother coming down for jury duty. It's been pled through." Now, what happened? I don't know entirely. Okay, but it was kind of an interesting idea. But you are right. If I'd gone into a jury, if I'd have been selected and had to go down and report for it, and they'd have gone, "What's your profession?" I would have absolutely gone, "I'm a professional psychic," right? And then, of course, they go, "Well, what do you mean you're a psychic?" I'm the guy that people phone to find out what's going on in their life. They would throw me out of the courtroom right off the bat because there's no way they're going to go with the idea that you're not, that I'm not, that I don't have a preconceived outcome. Okay. It had nothing to do with me figuring it was guilty or not. Okay. But no, I've never actually set foot in a courtroom for jury duty or anything else. Oh, where are we? There it goes. I know people who would write in code. Oh, Cowie, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay. Tony, you are right. Some people actually get abducted, sometimes physically, sometimes they yank the astral body out. It's not actually a soul removal because if you take the soul out of the body will drop dead like that. You know, and I mean, if that's just the way that reality goes. Okay. Now, and again, all of these things we're talking about here are prime candidates to be written into a journal. Okay. I was going through some of my writings the other day, and I'll tell you, back in 1987 through 88, I hit some pretty black points. So I mean, ultimately, what we're looking at when you're looking at a journal, the reason for a journal is it helps keep your mind occupied, it keeps your mind ordered. So that although you're sure to forget dreams in a hurry, okay, you know, you're sure to forget chunks of the dreams, and this is why you write them down, is because that helps you remember them. So if you have another dream, you go back through the journal and you go, there it is. And then you can figure out if you're having a recurring dream. Recurring dreams quite often are because of one of two factors. Either the event was such that you haven't healed from and you're still trying to clear it, or it may be that you've got a precognitive dream coming, something that's coming in to happen. And Derek's going, same dream for years. I am the dream weaver. Bad news, Derek. Every person that has a dream is writing their own dream. It's the subconscious that does the writing. Oh, okay. The nice part about it, what are we looking at here? See, I was actually involved in interrupting an astral abduction years ago. There were a whole pile of us that they tried making an evening grab on somebody that was conscious in the middle of a gathering. And boy, did that get our attention in a hurry. The guy, after we stopped the abduction from taking place, the guy slept for hours afterwards. He missed out on half the weekend, I think. But the reason for putting, yeah, Kelly goes, I had a dream that seemed like it went on for a lifetime. Alan Cowie, you may have been dreaming of a past life, and this again is one of the reasons for writing down in your journal. Okay, the more information you have, when you go back over it, think of it this way. You go back over your lifetime, even now, and I don't know how old you are personally, but even now, you go over your memories in your lifetime, and you're going to miss major chunks of it. This sort of thing will fill in things that you've forgotten. So you're just a young sprog there, Cowie. You know, the reality of it is, look back over your last 44 years. I'd lay odds the things that took place when you were in your childhood. Most of them you really probably don't remember. But if you're writing your journal, if you're journaling on a daily basis, and you don't have to have, this is just, you don't have to have, here's my daily journal and here's my dream journal. I combine them. Okay. And I've got 3 or 4 others I've actually got a number that have been put on disc already. You know, but sometimes, and this is where some people run into a snag, sometimes the dreams are just a dream to release stress. Okay, rest assured, the number of dreams that I've had, I still tell my other half, when I have a dream, if I wake up really relaxed and I remember having a dream, 9 times out of 10, it's more of a body count than a dream. Okay. Like I said, I'm a pacifist in the waking world. I happen to be a little more volatile in the sleeping one. But your dream journal, again, absolutely, if you dream, write it down. Put the date, put the time you'd made the entry. Don't worry about what time you had the dream. All you're writing down is what the day is that you're writing it and what the dream is as much as possible. You know, where are we here? Um, you know, oh, there you go. See, yeah, there's an idea. Try breathing. That's always fun. Anyway, when you're looking at a dream journal, the other thing that it is for is not just recording past events, as in, I had a dream, so I'm writing it down. Okay. A dream journal is also used for the dreams you have, the goals you have that you desire to make a reality. Okay, the ones you desire to bring to light. And this is very important because when you're using it for that purpose, you're taking your thoughts, you're taking the idea, pulling it out of the etheric world and putting it in physical form. This makes it possible to make it manifest in the physical world. Okay. Now, I do strongly encourage you, if you're not already doing so, I strongly encourage you to start a journal, even at my age. Okay. And I've got years where I didn't do it. Okay. But even at my age, and I think there are a couple of people in here that are actually older than I am, you know, which isn't that hard to believe. But I'm talking chronologically. I'd lay odds that there isn't a soul on the planet that has memories that date back as far as mine do. But that's not begin. We're not talking competition. We are talking about simply the way my world has worked. And yes, one of the funny things about it is you write your dreams out, or you write your thoughts into a journal now, and 5 years down the road or a year down the road, somebody asks you, go, yeah, I saw this happening. Open the page up and go, here it is. And it gives you concrete proof. And again, this is something I've used it for myself, is when I get an image of something, write it down. Because down the road when it happens, you can go back to that journal, back to that dream journal, and you can open it up and look through it and go, hey, look, this was what I said was coming. It's here. And you have your concrete proof. Shadow, how you doing? Glad you could join us. And where are we? This is the link to Shadow's live stream. So we pop that in here, paste that, and print. That's the link to Shadow Stream. So absolutely, drop him and drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of the thing. Okay, because we are literally what we're working towards here is changing this world for the better. Okay. It's not been bad, Shadow, not on my end. Hopefully yours has been going well. I actually just, and I've told people this before. Okay, I borrowed a comment out of Iron Man 3. Okay, where I decided I was pulling a clean slate protocol on my life. As in everything from the past, I am filing it. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just going, I'm moving forward at this point. Okay, you know, and the reality of it is, I strongly encourage you to do the exact same thing. Each and every one of you. Well, I can give you a few things if you want to get depressed there, Shadow, but I don't think that's very viable. And yes, by the way, I do have my coffee up front. I just didn't get up to go and get it yet. I've got the tail end of the coffee there, but it's pretty toast. By the way, it has become relatively official. Um, my company, Inner Voice Enterprises, I am building the publishing side of it, but I've already started the consulting side back up in full order. Come January of 2024, I'm going to be open. I'm going to be expanding and opening up an online school. Okay. Now, am I accredited by the Canadian government or any government on earth? Absolutely not. I'll let them figure out how to do that. But the way I look at it, I'm planning on helping people with this side of the journaling, with teaching people how to literally do this. Okay, to do what I'm doing. I don't mean sitting in front of a computer. I think most of you have that down to a fine art. Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I will be teaching one of the first courses I'm going to be teaching, aside from self-esteem and self-motivation. I'm designing the courses now, but I will also be teaching people how to read tarot cards because so many people turn to them or go to a reader. And quite frankly, from what I've seen, most of the readers I know of, literally what they've done is missed half the definitions or more. Okay, but I will be posting as I develop things on that end. Philip, that is one of the biggest things that I'm looking at right now. Um, the one, yes, she is. I will not argue with you there at all, Shadow. I am, like I said, most of. Okay. This is not, I'm not about to point fingers at who I don't think is a good reader. I've never actually personally had a reading by Raven. Okay. Although that's not a bad idea, really, when you think about it. I should talk to her about that, come to think of it. But the one thing that the government has asked me to do is get letters of reference from people, as in people that are in support of the idea of a school being opened and or interested in using the facilities and the options that I'm going to have available. You know, and the fact of the matter is, I talked to them in January, like I will be talking to them in January and seeing if it goes. If it doesn't go with them, it doesn't matter. It's happening anyway. When you've got a dream, okay, when you've got a goal, when you've had a dream, now bear in mind, you wake up and this is why I say with a dream journal, especially. I gotta ask, Derek. Not that it really matters to me as far as cigarettes goes, personally, because I don't smoke. But why, pray tell, would they ban menthol of all things? Of all the bizarre things to ban. But, governments do this regularly. And this is why I say, regardless of what the government tells me, I'm building the school anyway. I don't debate the fact that you're being honest about it, but one of the biggest reasons for writing down your dreams is it pulls it out of the etheric plane into the physical one. I have no idea, but I won't touch an office space I gotta pay rent for. I'll be doing most of my teaching online, but I will be dealing with face to face when somebody approaches me with it. Okay, and the reason for that is because the cost that they charge you for renting, everything you guys spent would go towards their income. I'm not interested in paying somebody else for a place I don't have to pay for. Okay, like I can do everything from home right here and thereby make things happen. Now, you've got to one thing about a dream journal, very important. Take your dream journal, whatever you're using, even if it's loose leaf paper, doesn't matter. Take the dream journal, put it beside your bed, along with a pen or a pencil, something to write with. From my standpoint, go ahead and use a needle in your own blood, but I'm twisted. Have it right there so when you wake up, you can immediately write down what you can. Joe goes, my best dream was I dreamed at a wedding party and flew home in the dark in my dress clothes. Where I was going, I had no clue. No doubt. I've had days like that too when I used to party. Go and I knew where I was heading. Of course, I get lost without the alcohol, so you can picture how much fun that was. But no, the reality of it is, like I've looked at office space, but realistically, if I can operate out of my house, I can do my work here. And yes, I've got somebody that's going to help me. As a matter of fact, tomorrow's Monday. I've got somebody that may well be able to help me get set up to start with. That's an excellent question. I never even thought to go there. I know when I got married, I went home after the party. After the wedding. But no, the reason for writing things down, and this is why I say, if you can get in the habit of doing so, okay, and I've done it at times where I've literally written it down for a couple of months on a daily basis. Sad to say, life has a tendency of getting in the way on occasion. Now, where are we here? Really? Okay, good. I was just checking and where we were standing. Yo, now, the other thing with journals, you remember one little detail. Journals do not have to be in a specific format. Okay. Las Vegas, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I gotta ask this, Las Vegas, and it's just because I'm curious and it came to mind. Are you actually in Las Vegas? I mean, I know you're retired. I understand you're retired, but do you actually live in Las Vegas? Terry, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has been going well. I've been looking at this whole idea of why have a dream journal. Well, the reason is, I don't know about you, but I'll get up, and the reason I say put your journal beside your bed is because the moment you get up, within the first, I find 2-3 minutes, you forget what you were dreaming about. Unless you start writing it down, at which point people seem to be able to hold it together a little longer. Okay, but they are extremely handy for showing you what kind of state you were in, years before. You know, oh, there you go. Thank you so much for that, Las Vegas. I haven't got it yet. I'm waiting for it, right? But I will tell you guys, Whoa. Spirits don't tend to do that, but the answer, Terry, the answer to that is there are entities that can do that. They don't tend to be spirits. Okay. For instance, an earth elemental, for obvious reasons, can do that easily. Okay. Some spirits have the capacity because there are some spirits that are literal spellcasters, and they can cause your world to shake or to make you feel like it's shaking. Absolutely, but the one thing I will tell you, this doesn't mean that you're in danger. Okay. The other thing, and I know you guys have, some of you guys have heard it. You've heard the low rumblings that people talk about across the world that nobody seems to know where they're coming from. I can tell you where they're coming from. I just can't prove it. But they are coming from your inner Earth, from what you call Hollow Earth, Inner Earth. I don't think anybody calls it Middle Earth right now, unless you're a Tolkien fan. But everything that you're going through, we call it a dream journal, but you could just as easily call it a journal and just write down any event that takes place that's a little weird, okay, or that's run of the mill. Quite often, I just have my thoughts go and I'll just sit there and jot out whatever I'm thinking of. Okay, I don't tend to worry too much about whether it makes sense at the time. Okay. I just simply go, let my pen write. Gravity works. It's a good thing there's a floor down there. I don't have to reach as far. Yeah, weird journal is another way of putting it. Or you can always spell weird, W-Y-R-D, at which point takes on a whole new definition. Yeah, I get a kick out of this. The funny thing is, like, Las Vegas is just saying, yes, I live in Las Vegas, never go to the Strip. As far as I gather, the people going to the Strip are not people that live in Las Vegas. It boils down to we know it's there, don't want to go. Weird is actually a room. Okay, the WYRD is actually a room. And no, I don't do as much room work as I could. Never bothered looking into it too terribly far. That is the other thing I will be teaching. What I'm building is a school that will literally help people on virtually every level. Creative writing is one of those neat little things that I will be working with people, not to get you to write what I want, not to tell you whether you're the best of the best. Okay, way too often I talk to people that go, "Oh, I'm completely useless. I just have no way of motivating. I can't get moving forward. I'm no good at writing." I'll tell you, and I've mentioned this before. Okay, I talked to an artist. The artist took a white sheet, like a white canvas, painted the whole canvas off white. I met this guy personally. Painted the whole canvas off white. Okay, it wasn't evenly painted, but it was off white on white. Go figure. Put baseboard wood framing around the thing and titled it Whiteout. He sold this painting for $1 million. I'm not about to tell you whether or not you've got a good one. Okay, I will tell you whether it's internally consistent. I will if we decide to go down that road, we'll take a look at it and see if there are hiccups that you overlooked. Okay, in your eyes. But I see too many people that go to a consultant. The consultant is psychic, psychiatrist, counselor, psychologist, doesn't matter. They go and they'll say, "You're completely off your nut. I'm not here to tell you whether you're off your nut." Oh, Lord, yeah, Philip. Pet rocks. I mean, you figure about that. This is marketing at its best. That somebody came up with the idea. They painted and they grabbed a rock off the ground, zero overhead for the rock, turned around, put a couple of dabs of paint on it, painted a face to it, called it a pet rock, and marketing. Okay, marketing is what made it such a phenomenal deal. Then a few years after the pet rock craze died, they reinvented it with the weather rock. Okay, and what it was a rock on a string. Okay, and they marketed it as a weather rock. You hang it outside. You hang it outside the window in clear, in a clear place. If it's swaying back and forth, it's windy. If it's wet, it's raining. If it's covered in snow, it's snowing. Okay. If you can't see it, it's night. If it is covered, if it is warm to the touch, it's daytime and it's sunny out. Now, you got to realize that this was the instructions that were put in it. The way, and I am not a good marketer. This is why I'm going back to school, one way or the other. Okay. Is to get the marketing side so I can actually turn around and do that as well. Okay. But I am a firm believer there is very little on this planet that you cannot do. There's a lot I recommend you don't. One of the things I strongly recommend you do is starting tonight. Okay, I do mean this quite literally. Tonight, as in October 21st of 2023. Or in some of your guys' cases, because you're down in Australia, we'll have to start it on October 24th of 2023. Oh, maybe the rock's name was Wendy. you know, I've met a lot of Wendy's in my time. Rocks on the whole don't tend to go by the name Wendy. But that's another story in and of itself. But the nice part about it, is when we look at writing a journal, what you're doing is taking your thoughts. They may be dreams, as in you went through them, you had a flash of insight, and bear in mind, a daydream is just as valuable, sometimes more so, than a nighttime dream. Okay, but a daydream, you do the same thing. You get this vision in your head. Take a moment, grab that book, grab that sheet of paper, whatever it is you're using. Okay, grab the book, open it up, look at the time, write down the time and day that you're writing, and write the thought down. Okay, because this will help you stay focused on it. Susie B, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day's been going well. Now, one of the important factors that I have found out is that every one of you, and I'm absolutely certain of this, every single one of you has a dream, has a goal, has some story that you're sitting on that really I encourage you to put it on paper. Not necessarily for resale. Maybe you just have to put it there so that your kids or your friends can actually have a record of this. Because with everything going digital, we have a power outage or a major EMP pulse, and all of the information is gone. Okay. And this is just the reality behind it. So there's a couple of purposes for the dream journal. One is to write your dreams down. Write your daily thoughts down in it, whatever you're going through. Write down your goals. Okay. The other part of it is a very humanitarian thing, if you will. Now, please, now I'm not the one to tell you whether you are or not, but I have been told by every shrink I've ever talked to, every psychologist, every counselor, they all gave me the same answer. Okay. Oh, I will cover that in just 10 seconds here, Philip. Um, got one question, and this is the only one anybody has to ask. Okay. The only one that's critical. Every single one of these people that I've asked, I said, how do you tell if if you're remembering something or if you're just losing your mind? As in, are you just going crazy? Here's the thing. If you're questioning it, and the fact that you yourself were at a sciatica shrink, okay, the fact you were there questioning it says it answers the question. Okay, if you're questioning, am I losing my mind? The answer is no, because if you're losing your mind, you won't be asking. Okay, and this is why when I see something like this, I'm like, and you wonder why I don't go to a shrink. Okay, now, so I hope that makes sense to you, Joe. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I thought that said he told me I was crazy. Yeah, I'm sorry, I misread that because he told you you weren't. You're not, you're definitely not. Okay. I have talked to counselors that literally told me I was right off my nut. I looked at him, I went, thanks for your input, I'm gone. You know, but Philip, you asked, how do you discuss painful history without starting to feel overwhelmed by the pain? Maybe you don't know. I don't know why. Um, in all fairness, Philip, I'm going to answer that for you. How do you discuss painful history without starting to feel overwhelmed by the pain? At the beginning, you don't. Okay, it's just that simple. You will go through the pain again. Okay, I just found a letter written to me that I wrote to my parents back in 2007. Okay, I didn't see the response to it. I read that one too just the other day. Okay, but painful memories will bring up painful feelings. Absolutely. The trick is to take your time to go through it. Okay, relay the information. When I first started talking to people about one of my most horrendous trips into the my labs, i.e., the day I was murdered. Okay, I'd break down in tears the moment anybody mentioned it. Okay, now I can explain it without a real big problem. But it literally boils down to the more you talk about it, the easier it gets to talk about. Yes, you may well look at it and go, but I'm thinking, it feels like this is just completely off my nut. It probably does. And like I said, I'm not one to tell you whether you're off your nut. I will tell you, if you're questioning, have you lost your mind? The answer is no. Okay, and this is why I tell people I have no problem answering questions from people. I just may not answer them the way that people desire them. Okay, except for the fact I will absolutely be honest about it. Now I'm not certain, Philip, what that refers to. Philip's just written in lost and found. I'm not entirely certain what is lost there, or found for that matter. You know, but you put your thoughts down on paper. Okay, because it will help you look at the reality of what you've been through and where your memory does fail you, which, by the way, is not always an old age thing. Okay, the fact you're getting older does not mean you're going to get stupid. Okay, it means you're getting older and you didn't put any focus on remembering a given item. That's the one of the primary reasons for a dream journal is quite literally, it is a layman's history. And if you think about it, if everybody were doing a dream journal, and this is a very much an extreme setup, if everybody were keeping a journal, we wouldn't require the history books that somebody else fills in as they like. You'd have real-time accounting of an event. Okay, but that's why you write a journal, is to to put that memory down before it fades. The memory, by the way, will still be there. People don't have poor memories. They have poor recall. And there is a very big difference. Okay, one of the things I have found with people is this. The ones that keep a journal seem to be a little more focused on the whole, on the here and now, because they've got that memory, that, if you will, depressing memory down and on paper where they can go back and deal with it if they have to. But writing it down, especially when we're talking about writing down traumatic events or traumatic dreams, as in nightmares. Get this. Okay, some of the fight scenes that are in the Yldrbacian Chronicles. Okay. You know, some of the a lot of the fight scenes are done because I wake up going, well, that's a bloodbath, but hey, it'll fit in really nicely. That's our creative mind kicking into gear going, let's work with it. You know, Joe, I usually find, oddly enough, that women tend to prefer, most people tend to prefer a female psychiatrist, psychologist, counselor, because because females are taught, they're encouraged to actually have emotions, to actually show them, and to actually live with them. Men are taught to block it out. This doesn't work well where it comes to helping somebody find a balance point. Now, do understand, I myself, I do not get caught up in what other people are going through. As a matter of fact, when I'm dealing with somebody, the one question I ask when I'm looking at something happening around them is, does this make sense? Because understand, there is not a shrink, a psychologist, a counselor, there's not a one that has to know exactly what you're going through. They have to simply be able to connect with you. Oh, I absolutely agree with you. Do you know any? Sorry, that was rude. You know, Philip goes, I prefer a competent psychologist. Absolutely. And of course, I'm sure you're aware, from my understanding, the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist is a psychiatrist is able to prescribe medication. A psychologist can't. But there is another option, and it's a new breed that's come out, one that I've been utilizing myself, that I've incorporated right from the get-go, and that is, what do they call it? A coach. And the way I got handed a document to explain this, okay, a counselor or a psychologist are trained to look at the past, look at what caused the problem, and get you to go back over the problem time and again. By the way, this is a form of personal psychology. You write it down and you can look back at it. Okay, but what they do, the psychologist is trained to look at what led to where you are. A coach is trained to look at where you are and go, okay, how you got here is not the relevant concern. You're already here. So what is of import is how you're going to move forward. And that is the critical factor of getting things to move in the right direction. Okay. What do we got here? Derek goes, Gatorade Fit Blackberry Raspberry Drink. Oh, nice. Yeah, there's a lot of Gatorade itself is, from what I gather, one of the better ones. Personally, I'm gonna call it aerated water, in as much as I take tap water, I'll pour it into an open jug, leave it sit for a few hours, at which point the chlorine gets drained out of it. Okay. And then I quite often will just drink lemon water to help, which works really well from my end. I certainly, given the option, quite frankly, I like Gatorade more than, well, definitely more than your monster drinks. Monster drinks are great. They're an energy drink that, I kid you not, I drink one right away. Inside 5 minutes, I'm out like a light. You know, but when we are talking about the journal side of things, as I'm sure you can see, and yes, I'm repeating a number of things here, but I did find if we don't repeat things, people tend to overlook them. Okay, but putting your stuff on in a journal, you can go back through it and go, okay, am I still dealing with this issue? Like, I found records of mine that, I tell you, I was in a pretty dark place. And apparently I wrote it in such a way that it still has that kind of an impact on me. Oh, there absolutely are. The unfortunate part there, Derek. Now, here's the unfortunate part of it all is, if I recall what I was talking to somebody about at one point, okay, and it was a guy working in the industry. Much of the stuff, you know, much of the stuff that they tell you is in the drinks is not reported, and a lot of it's reported, but there are amounts that they don't bother telling you about. But of course, trying to get the formula out properly is a little bit of a problem. Yeah, I've never actually listened to a TED talk. People have mentioned those to me before. You know, but yeah, I like doctors. If a doctor is going to give you information, I like the ones that go, here's what we recommend. Here's the type of things it's supposed to do. But the moment they start saying, oh, this is the only way, okay, I have a problem with it. Because it's a combination. And I was talking to this one government agent about it regarding the school. Okay. It is a combination of modern medicine, what they call naturopathic medicine, or the older versions, and spirituality. It's a 3-point balance of all of those that help put people back on track. And for those of you that are suffering from self-esteem issues, okay, those are really rough to get past on occasion, unless you talk to somebody that's been there. Okay, and this is why I recommend, whatever you're doing, talk to somebody that has been there, that's done it successfully. Okay. The unfortunate part is, in today's world, with so much greed running around, people are not being told the reality behind how to change things. Give you an example. I was told regarding my diet, I was told you got to cut back on this, that, and the other thing. I had one chap who is in better shape than I am, and he's got 25 years on me. Okay. And he turned around, he says, you want your stomach to settle down and really clean itself out. He goes, grab a can of whole berry cranberry sauce. And you'll notice I said a can of, okay, of whole berry cranberry sauce. He said, you eat a quarter can a day. He says, within 3 or 4 days, you'll be feeling right as rain. I will tell you, Philip, procrastination does not get you very far in life. Okay, but if you've got his self-esteem workbook, I would strongly recommend. I have no idea what it is because I haven't looked at it. But if it's a workbook, I do recommend starting tonight. You'll notice I didn't say next week or at your earliest convenience. I mean starting tonight. Open the front page and start working through it. Okay. Whoop. That's a good thing I keep a lid on that. Now, I mentioned my coffee was up front. We've hit the hour mark here. I'm still going to be here for a while, but I'm going to get coffee. And we are back. And what do we? Oh no, didn't miss anything there. So when we're looking at things, like I said, the whole issue around the journals. Hopefully, people understand why I say they're extremely important. Ouch. Well, now I'm going to cry. My glass bit me. Well, obviously, honestly, there, Philip, you're right. Okay, many people learn by mistakes. They learn more through a mistake than they do by doing things right, which is very much the case. But I still recommend do everything you can to avoid making a mistake that other people are already making. Okay, I can tell you from a professional and from a personal standpoint. One of the things you got to remember when you're doing your journaling, okay, is right from the heart. Don't try and paint a story. Don't do your best to simply write down what you're feeling. It may not come out in perfect English. The grammar may be off. Okay. The important factor, it would seem. I will tell you, Philip, stub your toe, you'll be in a worse mood. Although you will forget about the fact that you're in a sad mood to start with, in all likelihood. You know, the fact of the matter is, there's nothing wrong with being in a sad mood. There's something a little counterproductive with buying into the sad mood. Now, here's a neat little trick for you. You said you're in a sad mood. Okay. Turn the fastest dance paced music on that you can find. Crank it as high as socially acceptable and let it run. That will help elevate your spirit and help break you out of that sad mood. Whatever you do, don't read the newspaper. Don't go looking at the mainstream news channels. Not a good idea if you're in a sad mood already. It's also not wise to watch a sports game where you're really hoping for one team to win and that team is losing. Okay. Oh, I'm going to have to drop her a line. A friend of mine, as it turns out, her cage name is Sweet Maria. Okay, and she is fighting in the MMA next weekend on the 27th, but I've got to get a hold of her to find out if she's got a link to where the show's going to be. I've already told her. I've already told her I'm going to be down there to watch at the down at the Wings, and that one is a great one. In all fairness, there, Philip. You know, I mean, the devil is a wonderful chap to talk to. Well, wonderful lass to talk to, but that's another issue. Okay, the thing you got to remember: being in a sad mood is part of being corporeal. People get in sad moods. I remember talking to a farrier one day that told me she had one of her cows that was depressed. I sat there and looked at her and says, "How do you tell if a cow is depressed?" Yeah, good friend of mine, in all fairness. She just got into the MMA, as a matter of fact, and I forget the date, but a few months back, she got into the MMA and won her debut fight. But she's fighting again. And do look it up. This is her cage name. Okay. Whoop. Why do I do that? I put that down and it doesn't put it where it belongs. Okay. Where are we here? Yo, and yeah, she is a friend of mine. She was actually the first waitress I had. Tell you, was not a store that you wanted to rob. Okay, but she was a waitress at the restaurant that I go to now, and she was there for years. That's terrible, Shadow. That really is. But one of the reasons, and I do this, gamers do this all the time. We end up journaling on the fly because it's like you're planning something out. And you got to make record of it. Absolutely. I'm going to ask you one little question, Philip. Where it comes to any of the martial arts, do you have any idea what the primary purpose is? Do you have any idea at all what the primary, most effective purpose of learning a martial art of any form is? Now, obviously, if you're going into a cage, you want to get good at it, because it's always better to win. But what is the primary purpose of going into any martial art? Like, why bother? Anybody got any idea? And yes, I do have an answer for you on that one. Training the mind is part of it. Okay. It definitely is part of it. But the one reason to get really, really good at fighting is so you never have to throw a punch, ever, or a kick for those of you that are going to go there. Or how about if we go back to the Bongo Brothers from old All Star Wrestling? They didn't throw a punch either. They just bang your head with theirs. But I've talked to a lot of professionals, and the good ones will tell you, absolutely train the mind, train the body. Okay, but the fighting aspect of it is so you never have to swing, and so you never have to throw a punch. I like the way Shadow has said this, and this is the thing I like about this particular stream. Is so many people are like this. Philip goes, "I'm in a sad mood," and Shadow pipes up and goes, "Don't be sad, Philip. You got this, and we got you. You know, and I see this kind of support all the way through through a lot of the people here. Okay, it was funny when I was talking to Sweet Maria first in the first place. We got talking about striking, and I made a comment to her about about a technique, and she looks at me and she goes, "Keith, we're going in a competition. I don't want to kill. We don't want to kill each other." Yeah. Shadow goes, "What? I don't write anything down. Just wing it and believe it. And believe it or not, it all comes together as if by magic." Oh, I when I'm running the game, I usually do. The problem is, in my case, the biggest problem I have, the biggest problem I have is I forget by the following game what we did in the last game. That's where it becomes a bit of a hiccup. And of course, trying to remember a name, that's always been fun, but I'm getting much better at that now. You know, that's the important factor. And yeah, Philip, that and quite often that is the way things work. And again, it boils down to taking that thought, and this is where the journals come in. You take that thought, put it on paper, okay? Or in today's world, put it on computer, and then pray you don't have a power outage. Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, these are all parts of what I'm going to be like. I'm starting to get things together, you know, because I've decided that I'm going through, like I said, a clean slate protocol. Okay. And come January, I don't know the day yet, but come 2024, I will be opening the school up. I'm already working on the programs for it. I'm already opening up the consulting side of it. And the thing is, so many of you have dreams, have goals, that the biggest obstacle is, where do I start? Okay, what is it that I'm going to be that I am aiming to change? It is so hard because what most people don't realize is when you're writing down, when you're filling out the journal, you're writing out what you've been, when you're looking at dreams, most people think that's only about the past. It's also about the future, about what you're aiming for. By writing them down, you get a clearer picture of it and can get a little more organized in your own head. Okay, but the biggest catch is so many people are told, okay, you want to make your life better. What do you see as a better life? I'm telling you, that's bass backwards, completely bass backwards. Because how are you supposed to know if 10 years from now you may like being an accountant if that's what you think you're looking for? How do you know for certain that you may like that? Okay. On the other hand, in the here and now, if you don't know how to track your money, you know that's a problem. So you eliminate that by learning how to track where your money's going. And all of a sudden, 10 years down the road, you've got down to a fine art. Money is no longer the problem. This is where the journaling comes in handy. Identify the things you're not content with, and then start altering them. Okay. Now I mentioned I was putting where am I? I'm third of the way through now. The books are coming along. That's easy. Find there's so many things that have to be done. Somebody brought my attention. I think it may have been on here that when I go, a lot of the information I'm sitting on is going to go with me. Okay. And no, I'm not going to write it all down in a book and put it in my coffin. Although that'd be entertaining. Now, I'm looking at the people in this room and going, I know you all have goals. I know you all have dreams. I don't know exactly what they are, but I am telling you that one of my primary ideas is real simple. by leading by example. I said I was changing things in my life. Okay. And I'm telling you, it's working. It's taken me 2 long years. Well, they weren't really long. Each one was 365 days. Okay. It's funny. I was looking at it. I actually did the numbers. I worked out the numbers. I've got it all written down. It's only a rough estimate and a real drop. What do we got here? Yeah, Phil's going, I lost some page numbers I wrote down in David Burns' book, Feeling Good, but I lost those numbers. They were mostly in the 300s. I listened to the robot voice read it text to speech. Embed. I'm thinking that says and when. Yeah, in bed and while asleep. Yeah, and again, reading those, I will tell you this. You will remember them more strongly if they're in your own voice. And this is why I tell people when you're looking at breaking a personal addiction, repeating into a recording device in your own voice, I no longer desire to whatever. Okay, don't use the word whatever, that'll completely scramble you. Okay, but when you do that, it will help program your brain to actually move forward. Holy mackerel. Oh, I'm sitting here, I'm going, the temperature is really high. And I got a fan here that's not actually running. That should help. But dream journals work like an absolute charm in helping get the negative thoughts you're going through out of your mind, out of your body, at least temporarily. Now, I know when I was doing some mine a few years ago, okay, I went through a period where almost every day I was fighting the same issue, but writing the information down or writing the dream down where I was standing lost on a mountainside. And rest assured, for me, that's a nightmare. Okay, but for weeks at a time, daily, I'm going through the same thing. But it did help me get through the day to start with. And that's the key factor right there. One of the most difficult things available, okay, is to give yourself permission to, and as Philip pointed out, give yourself permission to make mistakes, to make bad calls, but do your best to learn from them. Okay, I'm lucky. I went bankrupt twice. I know that's a weird thing to go lucky with, but the first time I went bankrupt because of what I call creative financing. I was really good at it. I took $1,000 credit limit and built it up over 2,000 before they cut me off. Okay, but the second time I went bankrupt, I didn't do it by creative financing. I did it because my boss bounced a check, my paycheck, and my bank didn't tell me about it. Don't blame either of them. Okay, I'm the one that wasn't on top of it. That being said, I'm now on top of where my finances are. Hence why I wrote the book, Believe in Your Finances and Follow Your Dreams. It's also why I wrote the other one called Fortunes Forever, which is not in print yet. I will tell you, there is something very important, especially for you in this case, Philip. I realize you're listening to the book, text to speech. Okay, I will tell you, everything I've heard people say, everything I've talked to people about, if you physically read the book yourself, it will sink in better than if you're listening to it in text to speech. Okay, because when you're actually reading it, it holds together a little better. It gives it that extra input. And again, especially even in your journal writing, be certain to include as many emotions, as many senses as you can get away with. Because the more senses involved, the better you will retain the memory, or the better you'll paint the picture. Well, that's impressive there, Philip. Philip goes, sometimes I do both at once. Now, I know I can do that because I'll watch a movie and read a book and be able to track both while I'm carrying on a conversation, at which point it becomes three. We're not going to go any further down that. But I do strongly recommend that you do keep a journal by your bed. You know, quite often I do my writing when I actually go in, when I get done bed. I'll take a page or two and just write it out and write out whatever comes to mind. It's a good way to settle your brain before you go to sleep. Kind of an important factor if you've got a brain that's running in circles. You know, the one thing we have to remember is that whatever you're aiming for, it takes persistence, it takes patience. You know, do not expect to change the way your life is going overnight, because the odds are you didn't get there overnight. Therefore, it's going to take you a little bit of effort to get and to actually make them change. You know, so I mean, I'm looking at this and what's going on here, and you know, I got thinking about it. Part of this whole idea, I wonder if I've got it handy. What is this? Nope. I'm standing here with with a bunch of files I put up out of the way, because I kind of had to. Yep. Okay, so that should mean it's here. Gotta keep this clear. Oh, before I go down that road, today is the 21st. Those up there. So today is the 21st. We are looking at dream journals, obviously. Oh, okay. Tomorrow obviously is open topic. We just go with that. Okay. But on Monday, when we start looking at the alien side of things, we're going to look at the construction, or the organization, if you will, of the consortium and why it's built the way it is. Do I not have? I do wonder what I did with them. Somewhere around here, and this is why I'm doing a complete rebuild, as it were. Crystal J, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, Philip just going, I was searching for an author, and Harvard Divinity School showed up. Yeah, Philip, there are a number of schools. The intriguing part about it, okay, the intriguing part about that is a lot of what they're teaching, they actually shut down a lot of what is supposed to be being taught. Okay, let us not forget one small little factor. Okay, if, and I will use the term if you believe God is good and God created everything, this is great. I'm in the same boat. I believe the same thing. Okay, but we're not supposed to lock all the other stuff away. We're not supposed to turn a blind eye. You know, there's an old saying that goes, God helps those that help themselves. Absolutely he does. Okay, but one of the ways he helps is by pointing you in the direction of somebody that's done it on this planet. Okay, like that. Well, never mind, the planet has done it in the corporeal world. Okay, because let's face it, you've got the capacity to do this. Do understand? You've got the capacity to snap your fingers and change your life. I absolutely agree with you there, Philip. Now, there are some people that I'm a firm believer in locking them away is just a bad idea. But, absolutely. Locking away love, teaching people, oh, you don't believe exactly what I'm saying, you're a bad person. That is not the way to go. Okay? Because if you think about it, love does not differentiate between who people are. It looks at how you treat people. Okay? If you desire to be treated well, okay, and I ran this through when I was going through a real dark time in my life. Okay, I wrote some things down because I was feeling very off kilter. Okay, and much of it was pretty black. Absolutely, Gordana. You know, I actually I tell people that all the time. You can talk until the cows come home, but if you're not going to act on what you're saying, the words are useless. Wonder if I've got that one here. Let's open that up. Um, no, where are we? Poetic anthology. That is not what I'm looking for. Where are we here? Open. There we are. I'm just going. What I'm doing is looking for one in particular. Ignoring that. I just transcribed a bunch of these. So I'm just looking for one in particular here. That one's just depressing, but oh, it'll be right at the end, doorknob. Here I'm going through these one at a time. Right. But this is one I wrote years ago. Okay. What do we got here? Move that over there temporarily so I can minimize this and read what's going on. Philip goes, I learned a cute term for tails today. Tail equals butt flag. I'm not quite certain how that one works, but hey, I can work with it. No, the issue of words, and again, a lot of these I actually wrote down while I was writing my journal. I'd end up I'd have an idea come to mind, and this is literally what I wrote. Words and emotions. Words are simply labels for emotions that we feel. They're totally inadequate. They're never very clear. No matter how you say them to make them understood, they always come out sounding wrong, not quite the way they should. Accentuation means a lot in everything you say. For if you phrase a statement wrong, you'll lead someone astray. Words convey so very much, they just can't say it all. Without the actions backing them, they can't stand up, they fall. So remember when you're trying to explain the way you feel, to back your words with actions, because actions make them real. And that's my rendition of reading. And amazingly, I actually didn't stumble over it too badly. But when you're writing in your journal, you don't worry about how it comes out. You just simply put down what you're thinking, what you're feeling, it may be a very black way of looking at it. Okay, you may have a very black and white outlook. Let it come out because it's okay. As the saying goes, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be upset. You know, what's not okay, Crystal J is going, recently I've been dreaming of getting robbed, and I thought to keep my things, but something keeps telling me to give up my wallet. So I do. And when I give him my wallet, I wake up. Here's the thing, Crystal. When you're letting go of material stuff, understand whatever's in your wallet may be a pain in the neck. Okay. Whatever's in your wallet, whatever material stuff you have, can be, in all likelihood, most of it can be replaced. You end up dead, there's not many of us to come back from that. Um, Shadow, I'm going to have to ask because I'm not sure. Like football's gone, your blanket is so cool. Um, but Shadow, you've asked for a copy of something in Messenger. What I don't know is what you're asking for. And in all fairness, if I don't know what you're asking for, the odds are there are other people out there that don't. But if you'll be kind enough to fill me in on that one, maybe I can answer the well, no, I can't answer the question for you. But Emmy, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has been going well. Tell you, around here, like things have been moving really nicely today. For me personally, things have been a little hectic. You know, Gordana, and correct, and not to be cold. Okay, has your mom already passed away? Okay, now, why that's actually a good thing, Gordana. Oh, Shadow and Son, I will absolutely send you a copy of it. Okay, I have no problem with that at all. But thank you so much for asking. Um, where it comes to your dream there, Gordana, what that's telling you is two factors. Number one, let go of the threat that your mom may be passing away soon. That's not got anything to do with it. That is simply your deceased father letting him hanging around her. He's going to be there at her bedside when she does go. You know, he's going to be there, and that's all he was saying. What you saw was simply that, you know, okay, you lost me on that. See, the nice part about it doesn't change what I just said, by the way. Oh, Neil, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Okay. Um, yeah, there's no problem there, Shadow. I'm quite happy to send that to you. Neil, things are doing well enough. Financially stressed to the gills, but I figured out how to deal with that. And oddly enough, I actually have it worked out in my own head and on paper. By the way, we were talking about dream journals to start with. Okay. We were talking about dream journals to start with. I do the same thing with finances. I'll write them down so I can keep on top of what I was dealing with. What do we got here? Yeah, I cannot relate to taking the bus anymore there, Emmy, because quite frankly, from my standpoint, I haven't taken a bus in over 40 years, I think. No, in over 30. At least I don't recall taking one. Certainly not in the last decade. I won't go on a bus on my own because, well, frankly, it's got nothing to do with the people. It's got to do with the fact I'll get lost. But I have become extremely proficient at getting lost. Neil, you're probably referring to Mobians. Mobians do have that kind of capacity, but Mobians are an interesting race. Mobians, by the way, are actually human. They simply evolved, and they actually colonized Mobius, which is on the other side of the sun, in the exact same orbit as Earth. Okay, but Mobians have the capacity of manipulating that kind of energy. Okay, and they do it in various different forms, but they handle 0 point energy better than any other race I've run into. Okay, humans have the capacity for it, but humans are still caught up in the fear side of things. Bear in mind, like I said, 50,000 years ago, there were 10 billion Lemurians living on Earth with no fear, no famine. Well, there was a little bit of fear, no famine, no greed, and no war. Okay, and they simply about 50,000 years ago, they went and colonized Mobius, and then about 40,000 years ago, the ones that the Lemurians left behind had a little bit of a hiccup on logic, if you will. They hadn't done it before, so they all decided they were going to shut their physical heart off at the same time. This was an absolute categorical disaster. They had 5 billion dead in a matter of a minute. Well, probably a matter of 3 minutes by the time people quit twitching. But yeah, that's ultimately, Neil, that's who you're probably looking at. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day because I remember seeing people, I remember running through my notes and seeing people that were able to do a lot of what gets done in Marvel and DC. But it's an interesting setup. Oh yeah, well, yeah, they did, in all fairness. I mean, well, they've been there for 40 million years now. Well, they've been there for 50 million years. So yeah, do you ever get the chance to go to Mobius? Okay. And like I said, it's on the other side of the sun in the exact same orbit as Earth. You ever get to go there, you have what you would call, if you believe in Eden, you have the Garden of Eden. Okay. You have people walking along, you know, walking beside the lions, beside the sheep. The giraffes are walking along the edge of the water with the alligators, and nobody's killing anybody because they don't have to. War is a complete write-off. It went the way of the dodo bird some 55,000 years ago. Okay, so yeah, my apologies. I made a misstatement there where I said it was 40 million. It was 50. It was only 50,000. Joe. Yeah, Joe goes, I don't take karate. Mr. Miyagi, Karate Kid Part 2. Karate for defense is for defense only. Well, see, I was told by my father, and bear in mind, my father was a Golden Gloves boxer. Right. When he claimed he could hit somebody 3 times before they hit the floor, he absolutely could. But what he always told me was it takes a bigger man to walk away than it does to take a swing. And I will tell you, this friend of mine in the MMA, Sweet Maria, talk about a left hook. You know, she's just one of these people, it was funny when she was working in the restaurant. That was a restaurant you did not want to go in and try and rob. It just was not going to work well. But the best defense, like when you're looking at any sort of combat, the combat takes place between the eyes. The moment you lock eyes with somebody, that's where the battle goes. Now, you got to understand when it comes to fighting, I've only hit 3 people in my entire life. If we don't count my brother, count family, I've only hit 3 people out of anger. What do we got here? I think I missed somebody coming up. So, I mean, I am not a fighter by any means. You wouldn't necessarily know that by the books I write. But I will tell you, when you're looking at whatever you're adding to your journal, okay, whatever thoughts, whether they're positive, negative, or whatever, okay. Philip goes, I've never experienced a left hook in a restaurant. This is good. This is actually a really good thing. But I like some of the comments. Unfortunately, they throw me for a bit of a loop on occasion. Well done there, Philip. But no, I've seen some pretty intriguing maneuvers. But when you're looking at a journal, again, a journal is simply to put your memories on paper so that literally, if nothing else, when you pass away, and you will pass away, one of these days I'll get around to doing it permanently, but you will end up passing away. And, when that happens, the journals that you write will give your kids something else, something more, or the people around you, total strangers. Maybe it'll be found in an archaeological dig someday. I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. Okay, but it is possible. Of course, you can always get a little extreme. Like a friend of mine, when he was in school, he was doing an Egyptian report, and the teacher told him make it it had to be done in detail. So my buddy got a little excessively carried away. He wrote the entire report in hieroglyphs, in Egyptian hieroglyphs, which was cute. He did get a good mark on the report, although the teacher had to do a lot of work to read it. Semper Fi there, Black Dragon. I'm glad you could join us. I've been waiting to tell you. I've been waiting for you to come on to tell you. Dinner is all set up front. I've got a rasher of bacon sitting in the fridge ready to go. Oh, Neil, the book is called Races of the Worlds. Okay. And just make sure that comes out right. Oh, for crying in a water bucket, I did it again. I have no idea why that happens. Let's try that again. Always takes me twice as long to type something in. There it is. And the other nice little part about it there, the other part about that, Neil, is the only way you can really get a hold of that is literally through me. And with that in mind, here we are. This is the email address that you work with. Okay. That one will get directly to me. Just remember, you got to give me a mailing address to ship it to. And as far as payment goes, that's the same email address I use to go through PayPal. Yeah, if he wrote a journal, I would strongly recommend it. Well, there, Philip. Yeah, it's all your fault now, but Black. I was down at the grocery store. I was just going in to get milk. I really was. And then they had the bacon on sale. Absolutely, Neil. I do have a tendency of keeping on top of on top of things and getting to my emails now, which I was admittedly really good at avoiding. Doesn't work that well for sales, by the way. But just so you're looking at the right one. Neil, this is what we are talking about. Is that book right there? Okay. It's easy to identify it as mine because it's also got my absolutely horrendous picture on the back. One of these days, I gotta get that upgraded. Um, I don't right offhand know, but I can sure tell you in immediate. All you gotta do is nope, didn't leave it there. Puts it up on top. Oh, IGA. I think it's running around $7 right now. Yeah, I did find, I was actually planning on joining a procrastinators club, but they kept postponing the date. I don't know offhand what. Oh, that's because that wasn't today's. See if I've got. That's the dollar star, which doesn't do me any good. I don't know what I did with it. But no, I think that's about what it's saying. Yeah, things are a little pricey here. I'm pretty certain the cows are going to go on strike now since everybody else is. Of course, that's a recipe for disaster. Can you picture how much trouble the cows would be in if they went on strike? No, we're not giving you any more milk. I'm thinking that'll go over poorly. Yeah, it's like it's called getting a little over focused on occasion. Yeah, bugged out there, Philip. Thank you so much, there, Neil. I will absolutely get to it as soon as I'm done the stream. But as far as the response goes, but where are we? We go refresh. So we have to check spam just in case. There we are. Now we take that and we go not spam. Now it's been moved into my. I'm glad you told me because I don't always find them in the spam bin, but it's now in my hand. Okay. I will absolutely get. I will. Why am I being so dense? Oh, yeah. I'm gonna have to look into the shipping cost of it because I do know it's just a stupid cost. But I will have to look into the shipping cost. But I'll get back to you tonight on it and give you a definitive answer. In your case, I guess it'll be this afternoon because I'm betting you're probably in tomorrow. No, you're 8 hours. Yeah, so it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Let us see. Oh, yeah. Shrink that down so I can't see everything else. And we go back to There we are. Yeah, I'm looking at this because one of my artists is actually right in. He's over there in England somewhere, but you got a schedule like I've got. I take it. No, I will absolutely get back to you tonight on it because I got to look into the shipping costs because that's going to be the annoying part. But here's the other little piece of information for you, Neil. This one I'll send out to you, and when I get the other one completed, because I'm doing a second printing that comes along with it, that I will be sending as well. But journals are extremely important, extremely important. Okay, because they do take your thoughts at the moment you're writing them. Okay, they do take your thoughts at the moment you're writing them. You know, and puts it down so you can look at them later. Okay, kind of an important thing for trying to track where your life is sitting. Okay, or more to the point, where it was sitting. Okay, but one of the biggest goals that I've got with this school I'm setting up is to be absolute. I'm looking at the video now. My light isn't flickering, but the light on the light bulb above me isn't flickering. But my monitor is doing one heck of a dance. You know, the neat part about it is that I'm looking at things. Yeah, often I have dreams, but forget what they are shortly. Yeah, and Neil, because I don't think you were on earlier, very important. Take your whatever book you want to use for dream book. Maybe you just have this, okay? Because this works just as well. Okay, a clipboard with a sheet of paper on it. The moment you wake up, keep that by your bed along with a pen. Okay, or pencil if you prefer, doesn't matter. I mean, from my standpoint, you want to use a needle in your finger, go ahead. Little odd, but what the heck? Keep a pad next to your bed. So as soon as you wake up, if you're remembering something, if you remember a dream, even if all you remember is that you were dreaming, okay, write it down. I wish I could give what is this? Black Dragon. Written in a journal, but I couldn't find a translator to read. Oops. I've done that before where I've looked at the writing and gone, okay, I like what I wrote. Have no idea what it means. I actually did it. I actually wrote a whole chunk of information one day, turned it over to a chap, and now I can't find the original writing. Okay, but I turned it over to him because it was a very weird write-up. Gordana's going, diamonds are made under pressure. The nowadays challenging times of producing something new and beautiful. Oh, absolutely. Is there going to be, in case you hadn't noticed, a lot of stress involved in said transformation? Absolutely, Gordana. But it is by taking a look at that and going, this is the transformation we're going through. You know, chickens when they hatch, they got a lot of struggle to get out of the egg. And cicadas struggle a lot to get out of their cocoon. Humans are evolving. Okay. No, before anybody jumps on that, you're not going to the fifth dimension anytime soon. Nor are you going to the third, first, second, fourth, eighth, or whatever dimension number you'd like. Okay. You're here in the third dimension, and pretty much that's where you're stuck. But humans are evolving, and they do have a lot of potential, but it is up to us. And you'll notice I said us to really guide people in the right direction. I know that. Well, I showed you what mine looks like. I mean, I would make a great doctor. Nobody can read what I'm writing, except my signature. I usually make sure you can read it. Okay. I mean, heck, when I go to do transcription, as in read what I wrote to my other half, who happens to be my transcript. She's my other half, my transcriptionist, my editor. Okay. And as soon as I can get her across the border, she's going to end up being my wife, assuming she says yes. You know, but I've got things in my head of where I desire things to go, which is why I actually wrote a corporate handbook for my company. Okay, now do not make a mistake on that one. I will not be taking on a board of directors. Not going to happen in the way the Canadian law is laid out. Yeah, well, it doesn't make sense. They take out cursive writing, and then they want people to sign things. Yeah, what are we doing? Going into the dark ages where you just wrote your mark? Neil, the ascension trend comes from people going, I'm not happy with this world. And the religious side has gone, well, you're going to be raised up under God's, under God's hand. Okay, so people take a look at that and go, we are going to ascend. The reality is far more different, far more complicated. But that's where it comes from. It's people not being happy where their life is and going, I desire a better life without any guidance on how to get it. Where are we here? I do have it set. I just have to find out where. This is where this physical calendar comes in. Bingo! 1st of November, I am going to be covering that in great detail. Philip goes, Tibetans do something similar to channeling, but I don't believe they're literally channeling. Maybe acting would be a better word. Oh, the honest answer there, Philip, is I've done it quite by accident. Okay, I actually ended up doing a full channel one day in front of a whole pile of people. And when I come out of it, they're like, what the heck was that? I'm like, what do you mean, what was that? Ultimately, this is correct, Gordana. The whole idea of ascending to a better world, and moving to the 5th dimension, it's not going to happen. Okay. Yeah, I shouldn't say it's not going to happen. But on the 1st of November, I will go through it in detail how that ascension takes place. It ain't going to happen in your lifetime, I'll tell you that for certain. Okay. Now, from that end, there's a lot of things that are changing. And this is one of the reasons for putting the school together now. Because it is sadly long overdue. There are other schools around, absolutely. Okay. But I'm opening one here that will be available globally. Okay. Because I'm doing it over the net. But that said, we're at the 2-hour mark here. And I do want to thank all of you for thank you very much for sharing your time with me. I really do appreciate it. The support has been phenomenal. Now, I will be back again tomorrow, and let's see. Tomorrow is Sunday, so of course tomorrow is open. That's the easy part. Tomorrow we are dealing with open topic. Then on the 23rd, we'll be dealing with the consortium and its construction. Then I'm going to go into, and I'll have these set up properly this time. Going to take a look at the gaming characters I've been dealing with, because of course Tuesday we look at gaming in the imagination and how that all comes together. Okay. Then on the 25th, we're going to go back to the idea of regaining control over your life. Okay. Now, in the meantime, I will be back again, like I said, tomorrow. Until then, Absolutely. Do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.